Tālāk mūsu ziņojumi turpinās, un vārds tiek dots URMASam Dresenam, un viņš ir vēsturnieks, Igaunijas jūras muzeja direktors, izglītību guvis Tartu universitātē, un URMASa Dresena pētniecisko interešu centrā ir kuģniecības vēsture, kuģu un ostu vēsture. URMAS Dresens ir ļoti aktīvi darbojies starptautiskajās jūras muzeja organizācijās un kopēju starptautisku projektu īstenošanā. Viņa ziņojuma tēma konferencē ir Igaunijas jūras muzejs no 1935. līdz 2025. gadam. Lūdzu.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Labdien. And sorry, my voice. It's already autumn, and the voice is not so good, but I try to manage. I'm not talking about only Maritime Museum, maybe a little bit more, also some traces, what is connects us to also to Krišjānis Valdemārs, also a little bit, but it will be in the end. Now, we are a very young museum compared to the Riga's Navigational Museum and town, because we are celebrating our 90 years anniversary right now, and it means that in 19 I take this one. Hopefully now is better. In 1935, a Maritime Museum was founded in Tallinn, and it was in Tallinn harbor, just close to the sea, to the ships. And here is a founder, Captain Madis May. And there is a connection to Latvia also, because in Latvia, in Liepāja, Madis May, with his brother, had a career as a captain of the dredger in Liepāja harbor, also with his family, with his brother, and it happened all before the First World War. And all his daughters, 3 nice daughters, were born here in Latvia, in Liepāja. And later on, those daughters became a very famous artist in Estonia. But our main interest is Captain Madis May. And here is a opening ceremony of the Maritime Museum in Tallinn. It happened 23rd of February, and it's somehow is good, somehow is not, because it's 23rd of February. 24th of February is Estonian National Independence Day, and somehow, maybe in those days it was good, but nowadays, if you celebrate our anniversaries, and just one day before the National Day, it might be somehow confusing. But anyway. The first Maritime Museum it was quite big in the harbor, in a quite large building, in a second floor. But in those days, it was around 200 square meters. It's not bad at all, with a lot of items and a lot of ship models, as it usually in many museums in the world. And Estonian Maritime Museum, it just happened to be in quite the same time as the Åland Museum in Åland Islands and in some other museums. It happened to be in a quite a favorable time of creating the Maritime Museum. For instance, the National Maritime Museum in Greenwich was just founded 2 years later. Okay, I hope it's not. No. And But now, what happened after the war? Because after the war, those guys who just founded the Maritime Museum and the Captain Mattis May, who was the only worker and director of Maritime Museum starting from 1935 to 1940, realized quite quickly that after the occupation, it's no place museum exactly in the harbor. It doesn't matter. Soviets, Germans, anyway, it will be bombed away because harbor is so favorable place. And all items from the museum were moved and packed and put in several different places in Tallinn, also in Estonian countryside. And that's the reason why we still have very many items but were collected already in the 1920s and 1930s, and we still have those things. And they were right, because the building was just bombed away many times and no traces at all. And if someone just happened to be in Tallinn, and we have this big ferry terminal, which is called D, and ferry terminal T, where the shipping line goes to Helsinki and to Stockholm, exactly in this location was the first Maritime Museum. And this year in February, we put a big anchor to that place, and to just commemorate that here was a standing point of Estonian Maritime Museum. Now, just one. In 1965 was a Maritime Museum reopened in Tallinn Old Town. We have still these premises in Big Street 70. It was very small, around 150 square meters, but it was opened, and then already the director was Ants Pärna, and I guess that already starting from 1970s, he had ideas that maybe it's in the neighboring building is a big cannon tower, Fat Margaret, but was absolutely empty. And maybe there is a possibility to enlarge the Maritime Museum to that cannon tower. This is some photos about the Maritime Museum in the 1965. And now, and then the big building in rebuilding, also the Fat Margaret Tower, and it opened. We had a favorable position because in Tallinn was the Olympic yacht regatta, the Moscow Olympics, and we had a possibility then that there was. We explained, Ants Pärna explained, our former director, that maybe it's if there is Olympic regatta, and maybe there is a very right place to renew a Maritime Museum and reconstruct the Fat Margaret Tower. And it was done by the Polish restaurators. And of course, the plan was to open the Maritime Museum by the time of Olympics in 1980. But as many museum people know, that some things is never went as it planned, because it was not ready. The tower was ready, but not the exhibition. Exhibition is always what takes some time, some more time. And with a new permanent exhibition, Maritime Museum was opened next year in April 1981. And it was very modern, absolutely modern. And we were very satisfied about this, even more than 30 years. But everything has its end. Now I am just jumping to another project. This is the view of seaplane hangar in Tallinn at the point when I started with the hangars. Hangars itself built in 1916, 1917, and they were just before a collapse. We had a really favorable situation, and we got also some European funding also, and quite remarkable funding. And we started to create, I guess, a little bit different Maritime Museum inside these seaplane hangars. And we managed very well. And now the picture is like this. We opened it in 2012, in May. The actual building actual building exhibition took 2 years' time. Of course, planning was a little bit more, but we started 2010 in May, and we opened in festively in 2012 in May also. But it was quite hard time anyway. I guess I got my gray hair from this period, even maybe before. And of course, the main thing to me was how to put old Estonian submarine built in 1937, Lembit inside. An old story started with this, that to me was necessary to build some place to submarine, and all this thing created around the submarine. If you meet very creative architects, there can be quite crazy ideas, and if you have some mutual understanding in that case, and if you are able to collect some money also, in that case, is possible to achieve quite good result. And now it's a view like this, with our steam icebreaker Suurtõll and the harbor. And now something to Latvia. That's Latvian seaplanes in Kuivastu harbor, somewhere in the late 1920s. And you had quite many seaplanes, and sometimes Latvian seaplanes visited also our seaplane harbor in 1920s and 1930s. But they are Latvian seaplanes in Kuivastu harbor. That's okay, but now. Then the next project, because Seaplane Harbor was almost ready, but it's never ready. It's still, it's time to go on with many things. But we found 2015, quite accidentally, a medieval cock in Tallinn Harbor, close to the whole harbor. And of course, there was I tried many years before, I tried to start a renovation project in Fat Margaret, because this exhibition was old, and it was old-fashioned, it was, the technical side was very bad, and a lot of technical problems. But sometimes you need something to just put forward you, and after that you can game with your ideas. And the findings, the medieval cock from 1360, 65, it was really fortunate to us. And but when it was found, I never had an idea where it's possible to have money to do this. But here is already a point when we just figured it almost out, and we put the cock inside the courtyard of the Fat Margaret, and it was quite great fight with Board of Antiquities, and they many times said to me that why you hell you want to put medieval cock in Old Town? I said it's Old Town and harbor were very connected, and once the sea was much more closer, and but in fact it's true. And here is exhibition. We created a very simple exhibition. We renewed it totally in one day. From this old Fat Margaret was only the limestone walls, and we created absolutely from the basis to the top, absolutely new. And here it is, maritime history of Estonia based on the ship models, and with a lot of interactive exhibits, and quite a many of things. That's a winter view. We have open here restaurant, and we have a cock now inside. We're under the blue, not the blue sky, but okay, it's stars. Now I go here. That's a view right now during the summertime. Some numbers. Some numbers also. Totally, the renewing the Fat Margaret project was to us 7.4 million euros. And it's combined from a three-part European fund, also from the Estonian Maritime, our own foundation, 2.6 million, and also from Estonian government. But why we were able to put our own money from Maritime Museum to do this? Because we were, and we still are, quite successful in a seaplane hangar, because our visitors and because some other activities, and it's possible now to us to invest our own money to different projects, and we are going on in that way because we are doing big exhibition and invest our money also to the big exhibitions. Now another wreck. Some years later, it was 2021, I guess, was found again during the building works in Tallinn Harbor. Was found another wreck, also from a 14th century caulk, but 3 times bigger than the first one. And with the conservation we are doing, it's around 90 tons. It's a huge ship, and for this I don't have exact plans, but I have already some preliminary plans what we will do in the future in a couple of 2-3 years time for this. And down in the middle, it's a real jewel of the. It's a compass. It's a compass from the middle of the 14th century. It's one of the earliest compasses in Europe, what was found. I guess it's maybe the most earliest. And after the compasses, we have a lot of shoes, a lot of leather shoes. We have a lot of leather shoes also. And what's the difference? Because the caulk wrecks have been found in Europe more than 20, even a little bit more, but mostly they are quite empty. Our 2 caulks are full of items, hundreds of items, and right now there people are doing very hard work to conserve all these things. And what we really have a lot, it's leather shoes. And that's a short list of vessels what we have right now. It's around 17 different ones, and not mention about yachts and small and other motorboats and so on. It means that we have a total fleet right now. But of course, they are not in the sea, they are on land. And last year, we bought a portal crane, the harbor crane, because once there was a crane in our seaplane harbor. But when the former Soviets and Soviet occupation, it's a long story, because we got this territory back, this seaplane harbor, only in 2007, 2008. Before that, operated very different companies with a very bad background, and we had a lot of court process, and even when they left, they took a crane with them. And it was my idea many years that, of course, if I want the crane back, and last year we bought it. And the crane has very romantic name, Albatros. It's East Germany and built in 1965. That's some of our fleet. Something inland. One in the left side is a research vessel, Mare, because we started in the late 1970s with underwater archaeology also. And another quite new ship is down there, is Valvas from 1944. It's a Coast Guard vessel from the United States, and we got it also via our border guard. And some nice one is a pleasure craft also, and icebreaker down there. Our underwater archaeology research team, only one part of it, and with a small research vessel load. We have a lot of, once we had a lot of clubs connected to Maritime Museum, and until now we have the most oldest one and most active one, it's the Estonian Polar Club, and we have organized different conferences and seminars, and published books, and And last year we had, when this Polar Club celebrated its 40 years of anniversary and big conference international, and also a book. Okay, no? Okay. And we try to publish every year 2 or 3 books also in English and Estonian, and about some maritime history, Estonian, our collections and items, and we publish it ourselves, and sometimes we have some help also from some other foundations, but mainly we do it ourselves. And last year we changed half of this Seaplan Harbor permanent exhibition also, because some parts were already a little bit old. Some parts we was necessary to add some new themes. And we add also the Estonian naval history. We had also the rescue and also environmental things. And the main thing is that everything what we do, temporary exhibitions, permanent exhibition, is that it must be that every people who is disabilities is possible to see or walk or have some influence from this exhibition. Everything we do it connecting with that. It's wheelchair is a smallest point. We do it many other things also. And okay, well, some numbers up to date we have in Maritime, starting from 2012, in Maritime Museum altogether. It will be 3.5 million visitors by the end of this year, hopefully, I guess. And now, of course, you know the ship. But we know where the ship is right now, and it was already investigated in 2011. The Krišjānis Valdemārs, during evacuation from Tallinn in 1941, in 29 of August, just stuck a mine, and later on it was bombed. She was bombed by the Junkers 88 also, and but it's very deep. It's around 100 meters in the middle of the Finnish Gulf, and but that's the stories. In the same evacuation line was also our icebreaker Surtel, but she managed. Somebody not, and I am sorry for that. But I know that if you are planning to build a new ship, and maybe you have a good name again. Now, maybe it's okay. So with two slides, and of course you know those guys, Christian Dahl, Nikolai Raudsepp, but why I'm putting it here? I just, they are both from Ainaži Heinaste Maritime School, founder of this school. Christian Dahl was born in Tallinn, Estonian Swede. He was able to speak in 10 or 9 languages, and Nikolai Raudsepp was close to Pärnu. But here are, and in the middle is a steamer. It's a steamer. It's an old view of the steamer Luisa, because in 1876, Krišjānis Valdemārs had a change of letters and ideas with Christian Dahl, that maybe it's time to do that kind of practical thing to the navigational school students and to investigate the Ober River estuary. And they did it. It was but there was a connection, and of the Krišjānis Valdemārs. By that time, he knew quite well businessman from Irkutsk, Alexander Drapezhnikov. And Alexander Drapezhnikov, who had also some gold mines, investigated and founded this trip along the Ober River, and they did 3 trips. But the last one was not so good, because the new ships, sailing ships, what was built, they just sunk somewhere in the estuary because of ice. But And that's Nikolai Raudsepp with Ostiak, these clothes. And last one. Picture is taken about very long time ago, when Maritime Museum had his 50 years anniversary, and Ilse Bernsonen was in Tallinn, and our former director Hans Bern, and as it is, it was a nice party, I guess. I hope, at least it was, and that's a connection to Estonian Maritime Museum and Latvian, the Riga's Navigational and History Museum, because we have so many mutual things also from Ainaži, and I know that in the Latvian State Archive are a lot of material, historical material about sailing ships, especially in Livonia and Pärnu and all these areas. I have been there once. Basically, I know a little bit, but thank you very much for listening. Paldies.
Liels paldies par jūsu ziņojumu. Jautājumi. Noteikti muzejniekiem ir kādi jautājumi par muzeja pieredzi.
Es gribu pateikt lektoram lielu paldies, bet viņš neminēja to, ka tas Tallinā tas lielais muzejs, kas ir izveidots, 2012. gadā, tas muzejs saņēma lielāko Grand Prix Eiropas kultūra mantojuma kontekstā. Un man bija tas prieks būt Atēnās, tas tika pasniegts Atēnā, lielā antikajā teātrī, un arhitekts gāja uz skatuves lielajā Grieķijā, Atēnās, un viņš teica tādus vārdus. Liels paldies par šo apbalvojumu, bet es gribu teikt to, ka šeit igauņu valoda, viņš teica igauņu valodā to savu runu, ka igauņu valoda šeit skanēja pirmo un laikam arī pēdējo reizi. Tas bija milzīgs apbalvojums, liela Eiropas dāvana, Grand Prix Europa Nostra kongresā Atēnās. Es biju klāt tur, tāpēc es to varu pateikt. Es biju liecinieks, es to redzēju. Paldies jums!
Yeah, thank you. I was also there, and it was a great honor. And just to remind you that we won it with a very, okay, it's just one vote, but in the second place was Athens Acropolis. And we received this, all this Europa Nostra also in Acropolis overhanded by Placido Domingo. Yeah, it's, yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Es ļoti gribētu pateikties mūsu kolēģim, kas atrada laiku un ieradās, un varu pateikt un apliecināt pati personīgi, ka tie ir brīnišķīgi muzeji. Un visiem, kas nav bijuši, ierosināt aizbraukt uz Tallinu, kas ir tik viegli sasniedzama, un, manuprāt, apskatīties brīnišķīgākās jūrniecības muzejus, kuģniecības. Es apsveicu jums tiešām lielisks panākums. Arī Margarita brīnišķīgi iepriekšējo mēs jau redzējām ātrāk, lai jums veicas arī turpmāk. Paldies jums!
Thank you very much, and we are happy that we have a lot of Latvian guests during the summer months, and we are very thankful. We are really very thankful for that. And please come to Tallinn, to Maritime Museum. We have some other museums also. Yeah.